Hey everybody, welcome to Circle of Hope's online Sunday meeting. I'm Julie Hoke. I am one of the pastors of Circle of Hope congregations. We're 4 congregations in one location right now online. I'm glad you're here for this meeting with us tonight. Pastors, why don't you introduce yourselves from where you are?
I'm Rachel Sensenig, and I'm here in South Philly, right on Broad Street.
Jonny Rashid, coming to you from Fishtown, Pennsylvania.
Ben White from South Jersey.
And we're here tonight, slightly better than barely hanging on. If you're doing better than that, I'm glad. That's great.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It is pretty good. Many of us are feeling like we're just slightly better than barely hanging on. So we decided to name the 7 weeks of this winter months on this Sunday meeting with that. Slightly better than barely hanging on is pretty good. And there are 2 things that we're doing in these meetings together to help us get through. We're working on connecting with each other and we're connecting with God. So we're starting this meeting with a live poll as a way to connect. Some of you already saw that on our welcome screen and you voted. If you can, grab another device and sign in to strawpoll.live and use the code 521684 to vote on our question tonight, which is, which of these activities is the most challenging for you? Shuffling cards, whistling, swallowing pills, snapping your fingers, or cracking an egg without getting pieces of it, dropping pieces of shell. So that's what our poll is tonight. We've started these meetings with ridiculous questions that don't really matter at all, just as a way to connect.
The best part about it is that they don't really matter. Because then
Exactly.
they get it wrong.
There's no right answer. It's just about connecting in our humanness. So if you want to answer the question, your participation makes it fun. And hopefully it will help you feel a little less alone because you'll see what other people are saying and that you are not alone. Somebody else can relate to your tonight, your challenges in one of these ways. So while there's a little delay on the live stream. So while people are getting on the poll and voting, pastors, why don't you answer the question and tell us which of these activities is most challenging for you?
I answered whistling because I have never been able to whistle and it has always bugged me. I love music. I would love to be able to whistle a tune, but all I can manage is a little like maybe one note if I breathe in.
You have the most popular answer, Rachel. We have 54 votes. 18 have said whistling.
I can whistle, but I can't do the super loud this whistle, like wee wee. I want to be able to do that one.
That'd be good.
That's an impressive skill. It is. I'm whistling too, though, Rachel, because I can only whistle by breathing in, which I can't even really explain that or why that is. But
yeah, that's harder for me than whistling out.
What about you, Jonny and Ben? What's your most challenging activity here?
I said that cracking an egg just because I'm not careful enough, but because I'm really good at swallowing pills, I'm also good at swallowing eggshells. So no big deal.
Don't even notice.
I'm not really good at any of these, but I'm not good at I cannot shuffle a deck of cards. So every time it's my turn to deal, I always have to give it to someone else. I need a pinch dealer to do it for me.
That amazes me because you're so good at poker. I mean, I've heard about some of your wins.
Yeah, well, at least I'm not stacking the deck. You know that I'm not because I'm not shuffling.
That's good.
Well, there are some others who can relate, Jonny. So far, 11 people also cannot shuffle cards very well. If you're voting from home, there's 1 vote per device. So if you're in the room with other people, each of you can vote, but you got to vote through your own device. While you're on there, if you could also sign in at circleofhope.net/online meeting. We want to know that you're here. We want to know you're participating, and we find ways to stay connected all throughout the week because we have a whole life together. So let's look at the results so far that are coming in.
I'm doing like a drum roll on my
nice
microphone.
So far, it's still holding out that oh no, sorry, it's not. No, it is. Whistling is still the most challenging activity. 34% said whistling is hard. Right behind that is cracking an egg, though. So, Ben, you're not alone.
I feel seen and known. This is such a great opportunity.
Well, food pastor, do you have like a foolproof tip for cracking an egg?
Oh, Rachel's calling me the food pastor.
That's his Instagram handle, y'all. Follow it and like it.
What I do? No, I don't do like the whole chefy thing with one hand. I just I try to just crack the shell finely on an edge so that there's less opportunity for it to break, and then I just carefully open it. You know, I don't try to rush it too much, because fishing out the eggshell, you know, you don't want an eggshell in your cake or something like that, right?
Ben doesn't mind.
Ben's just eating it. He's a texture.
If you have to fish it out, you want to use. I learned this trick. You want to use the shell to fish it out.
Oh,
it's much easier than your fingers because it evades your fingers repeatedly.
Well, here's the other thing: if you're really good at leaving the eggshell in, like me, you're also really good at getting it out. So I just like stab it with my index finger and just slide it out.
You should put it you should crack it into a separate bowl, I would say.
There you go.
And then put it in so that you don't have to do the whole thing. And if you're in Europe, you have to be very careful because the outside of the eggs there have a membrane that collects bacteria that is removed in the United States, which is why they can have eggs on the kitchen table for a week and we have to refrigerate them. That's way too much information for this moment.
Wow.
I want a membrane. Dang, I feel left out.
Hopefully you've learned something in this meeting already, but mostly we just want to connect. So it's fun to answer this. Thanks for responding to the poll. The reason we're working on this connecting with each other and with God is because we need this to sustain us right now. We need it to endure. In his second letter to the Corinthian church, the Apostle Paul wrote all about his troubles and that he and his companion Timothy faced. He wanted the church to not be unaware of his sufferings and that they were so far beyond his strength that he was afraid they might not survive. Some of us can relate to that right now. We're at the end of our strength to endure. We face our own suffering as the U.S. has lost over 420,000 people to COVID-19. And Paul said that what they endured led them to confidence in God alone. When they couldn't make it on their own, when it was just too much, hope in the Lord is what rescued them. And the prayers of others, the prayers of the church sustained them. So we're taking our cue from Paul and the early church in Corinth, and we're practicing sending our own messages of comfort to each other through missions to connect. We will show you one this week, and friends are doing them all throughout the week. And to hope in the Lord through connection in worship and in ways to pray that you can practice all throughout this week. So that's what this meeting is about. Our team from our West Tulpehocken congregation is going to lead us through tonight. Jonny will share a talk with a way to pray, a prayer practice that you can use this week. But first, we're gonna see a mission to connect. The Ware family was out this week trying to connect with the middle schoolers in our congregation, and they made a video all about the process. And they're keeping it real about the struggle that it is just to get to do anything out of the routine. So they're honest about the limitations, but also about the fun. And you'll see it. Hopefully you'll get a taste of that joy just through watching this video. As they share their story in this video, I hope that you will be inspired to take your own mission to connect this week. What you have is enough to bless someone. Whatever you think to do, is probably an inspiration from God, and I hope that you will act on it. So, because your doing combats despair. So let's see it in action and then hear from Jonny.
Hi, I'm Alison Ware, and I just got my kids in bed, and I am sitting here at my dining room table, which is now my first grader's desk. He's been here doing Zoom school for nearly 11 months now, and my kindergartner sits across the room, and our days are long. We are tired of being apart. So we are trying to take some actions to combat the despair that we're all feeling. Tessa Patino and I have been trying to create some opportunities for us to connect with the middle schoolers here over the past number of months. So we've had a couple bonfires, and then we had a Zoom hangout last weekend. We played a Kahoot, which is this fun game that you can do. So we made a trivia game about our group, so the kids got to learn some more about each other. This week, my kids and I delivered care packages to the middle schoolers who are part of the Northwest congregation. We're working together. Jasir is helping stuff the bags. Everybody gets a candle.
Is that a video?
I'm making a video. Yep, that one needs one.
It doesn't have any socks.
Oh, I haven't put the socks in yet. There's socks are here. More to do. Yeah, I'm doing the socks. Socks. Okay, we gotta make sure sisters get different socks. Okay, thanks. Okay, they're ready. All right, Jasir and I are ready to make our first delivery. Can you wave?
And I'm sitting in the booster right now.
He's sitting in a booster seat because he's so big. Yes, buddy.
Who's this video?
It's gonna be for Sunday meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Remember how we've been watching videos about people staying connected during the pandemic?
This is my notebook.
This is your notebook.
And
He's got a list. We're running on some errands.
But I'm reading my book.
Yes. Okay.
So,
All right.
bye.
We're off. Bye. Okay, here we go. Can you leave it on their step and ring their doorbell? You see it? That's good, buddy. Hi, Kate. How are you?
All right. How are you?
Good. Very excited.
Thank you.
Hi, Trevor. We're making one of those videos about sharing or connecting, really. Yeah. Here we go. Hi, Grace. It was good to see you on Zoom, but it's good to see you in real life, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We just make a first delivery.
Yes, our first delivery. Okay, get back on. Here's Lily and Nara. We're going to go for a walk. We're delivering treat bags to our friends Anna and Sarah. All right, here we go. Can you wave? Tweens, stay apart. Just leave them on the steps and then ring the bell. Ring the bell. No? Okay, just leave it on the stairs. Here comes Anita! Hey! I haven't seen you in person in so long. Okay, my son wanted to stay in the car, so I'm delivering this one on my own. Here we go. There's Jacob's. Hi, Feldmans! Hi, friends! Hi! I have a bag for Jake if he's home. How are you guys? I haven't seen you in person in a long time. Yeah, cool. I'm dropping these off alone. My son doesn't want to come in. My glasses are fogging up in the cold. But we're here at Aaliyah's house. Good. Hi, Aaliyah.
Hi.
I dropped off a bag for you.
Thank you.
It's some treats. There's a note inside.
Oh.
But there are some fuzzy socks.
Ooh.
And some treats. And also a candle that's battery operated that you can use when you pray.
Cool.
Like we did at Advent, you know, we were praying with candles. So
Thank you.
you're very welcome. Oh, there you go. You're demonstrating. That's excellent. I'm going to zoom in. We're not close. This is for a video for Sunday meeting. So we're, you know, demonstrating how we're staying connected in this weird time. Okay, here's our last delivery for tonight. Hi, Dominic. How you doing? There's a bag of treats for you.
Thank you.
Sure, it's a little late. You're going to be on the video for Sunday meeting, okay?
Okay.
Anything you want to say?
Nope.
Dinner smells good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soup.
Nice. Enjoy. Cool. Good to see you.
Bye.
Good night. It wasn't easy taking care of this project. I started getting the supplies for this back in early December, or no, November, because I thought I was going to give them the candles for Advent. Oh, well. And the socks, some of them are kind of a festive holiday theme. They're getting them in late January. So, oh well, cozy socks will be good for another couple months at least.
All right, y'all. I want to ask you a question. Yeah, you, right in the live chat, in the live stream, on the chat. Get on the chat and answer this question. How many times a month do you honk your horn? Like when you're driving around, how many times do you beep, beep? How's it working out for you? Offer your response in the chat. This is relevant to my message today, just to reassure you. And I'll share mine. I'm like 10 plus a month. I like honking. I like the sound of my honk. Feels good to me to honk. And I shared that with some of my friends, like 10 plus, you're a honker, man. That's crazy. How could you honk so many times? What are you honking at? Of course, I live in North Philly. You know, I'm reporting from Fishtown, but I live in North Philly. And honking in Philadelphia is a way of life. It's like in Cairo, where I spent some summers when I was younger, and I drove in Cairo, and you have to honk to stay alive in Cairo. Like, honking isn't an expression of anger or even an emergency type of thing. It's just, hey, I'm here, beep, beep, hello. It's like you're going through a tunnel and you can't see the other side, you honk before you get in. In Cairo, that's everything. And in North Philly, honking is important too, because there's a tradition in North Philly to stop in the middle of the street when you're driving. You stop and then you talk to your neighbor. Sometimes there's a spot right next to you, but you still stop instead of parking. You talk to your neighbor for a while. And then someone drives up behind you like me. And it's not an automatic assumption that the person who drove up behind you is in a rush or wants you to go. And so you must honk and they also may not notice you. And so you're just making yourself known, you know. Sometimes you have to lean if no one's in the car and they're going in. I park in the middle of the street too sometimes, and I get the lean. But you honk in order to let the driver in front of you know what's going on because they aren't sure what's happening. You must alert them with a noise that they can hear because they can't read your mind. The car has to speak out loud a request. Which brings me to my subject for tonight. That's a little like what praying out loud is like. Driving often reminds me of praying out loud because when I drive, I often am talking or singing. And sometimes in tight traffic or difficult situations, I offer prayers, you might say, out loud. They aren't usually kind prayers, and they often invoke the name of God, often in a fury. But nevertheless, it happens, and I believe that to be a prayer, too. There's something about the honk, or the utterance, that ultimately matters, right? That actually matters. It is expressive, and it notifies others about what's happening within you. I remember when I was growing up, my father would pray out loud at restaurants. we'd be out and he would pray very loudly. I think because he wanted the people around him to know that he was a Christian. So my dad, I talked about Egypt a second ago, I'll do it again. My dad grew up in Egypt as an oppressed religious minority. Egypt's majority Muslim country, 90% Muslim, and then 10% like Coptic Christian, which is, by the way, the Coptic Church, the only African church remaining that wasn't brought by colonialism. And my dad was even a minority in the Christian group because he was kind of a Protestant Methodist type of person. Anyway, when you grow up in that as a religious minority, you're operating within that context, you have a sense of shame about who you are because the oppressors reduce your dignity. Same thing happens in the U.S. with our minorities too. And so out of that experience of shame, he was declaring his faith to the people around him at the restaurant by praying. He was proud to be a Christian and he wanted to say it. He believed it. And this was an opportunity to do it because in Egypt, there are reasons to not share your faith. Although some people in Egypt are bold and they name their children biblical names to highlight their faith, or they get the tattoo of a cross on their wrist to show the world their faith. And so there is something about that occurs. But I think my dad was channeling that sort of pride when he prayed out loud. That's not exactly my style because there's something, because I don't always want to put myself out there like that, contrary to maybe what you think. But there's something about the out loud expression that matters to us and to the people around us. And so practicing it together and alone offers benefits and I think are worth doing. So praying out loud in front of others is difficult because you might be self-conscious about it. I used to want to think about the prayer that I was going to say out loud so it would sound good or smart or spiritual. So the prayer out loud became a sort of performance. It's tempting when you're listening to other people pray to get stuck into, hey, what are they talking about over there? You might judge them. You might think they have a bad prayer. You might be preoccupied again with how poorly or well you are doing. You might avoid it altogether. You don't want to have a thought of your own. You might get lost in the crowd. Enough people are talking. I don't want to talk. It's good. We got enough here. Johnny's just going to say one or two more out loud, and then that's it. I'm off the hook. Maybe you just mimic what people are saying too. So all those impulses are normal in my opinion, but I think they offer you a growth opportunity. We're working on being our true selves in front of others, and in front of God, and even in front of ourselves. And so practicing prayer out loud in front of people is a good way to do that. But if you're alone, you can pray out loud too. I think that's great. You don't have to shout. You can just use your normal inside voice, like a 6-inch voice, as my second grade teacher told me. Of course, if your walls are thin, and you're afraid of being overheard, you can just whisper. It's good to get your thoughts out of your head, though, and in front of you. It helps you to confront what's actually there, as opposed to just morphing it into your head. And as you become neurotic about your anxiety or your stress, my head isn't a good place for those things. And so uttering them out loud helps me see them. We're better off. It's out in front of us, out of our head, right? That's why verbal therapy is good. That's why journaling is good. That's why processing in general is good. When you're alone and you need to process, it's okay to talk to God out loud. The morphing and fluidity that so often occurs in our brain is disrupted when we're praying out loud. Speaking out loud makes something real more tangible. The physical incarnational things we do, like Jesus demonstrated, incarnational means in flesh, make a difference. It makes us certain of what we're saying. The words come out and they mean something. It has a presence. It's hard to lie to yourself when you're actually hearing yourself. It keeps you focused on what you're saying. Silent prayer might even be harder than praying out loud because we don't have numerous things invading our minds when we're talking. Gives us some order. You can just pray out loud a phrase from the Psalm, for example, like the one from Psalm 4. You alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. That could be your continuous prayer all day and all week. You could just keep working with it until it's true in your life. Saying it out loud, meaning it out loud. It has a presence in your life. It's a big deal. Saying it out loud makes it more practical, makes it more tangible. Praying out loud is critical for your faith to work out. Praying out loud then makes your faith more concrete, tangible, real, in your body, incarnational. It gives your faith a voice. You can fake it, obviously. You can say something out loud and not believe it in your heart. But the opposite might be more true. A lot of us might think we think something, but our fear to speak it out loud might weaken it. Some of us refuse to do it. We hold ourselves back. It becomes less tangible, maybe even disintegrates. Maybe you're afraid to do it, afraid of being overheard. Sometimes even afraid of the demon or the devils hearing us. I heard a story of someone being afraid out loud because they thought something might happen to them. So there is some worry there, but the response might be, no, be bold, say it out loud. Declare who you are and what you're doing. You have nothing to be afraid of when you're praying out loud to God. Praying out loud is an affront to the things that fear you. You're an affront to your enemies, an affront to the authorities around you that aren't God. You are declaring something like Daniel did in the Old Testament. You might know this story. When in Babylon he prayed with his windows open. He showed the powers before him that were censoring him. No, I'm going to say it. These are forces of evil at work. You will shudder before my prayer. So that's one way to pray out loud by yourself. Another way to pray out loud together, but at the same time. The South Koreans have a way of praying in those Assemblies of God denominations, the churches. The biggest church in the world is actually in South Korea. And they get the whole stadium in prayer. It's hard to imagine a whole stadium full of people right now, but it happens sometimes. It used to happen, right? And they just pray out loud and loudly, all at the same time. It's a little stressful for me when something like that happens, but it's also encouraging to be around so many people that mean it. It's a variation on our theme. Maybe they got the idea from Acts 4. Take some boldness and some faith to try it. So give it a shot. You don't have to do it loudly. You can whisper it, but try to do it this week. Pray anything you like. You can even do it in another language. Let it go, and let's see where God takes you. And let's keep praying this week out loud together. Use the Lord's Prayer from Matthew 6. You might have memorized it in one way or another. And you can pray it silently, but starting with Our Father implies that we're doing it together. And it's hard to do it together in this disparate time, but I want us to do it this week together so that we feel our ourness, our we-ness. Nothing's easy, of course. The Lord's Prayer has variations too. When the Bible was translated to English from Latin, John Wycliffe in 1395 translated 6:12, verses 6:12 as debts, as opposed to what William Tyndale did when he used trespasses. Now we have all these variations on the Lord's Prayer, so it's hard to say it out loud. We can't just say the Lord's Prayer, because what version are we using? Wouldn't it be embarrassing if I said the wrong thing? We're already unsure about it. In fact, when the council met on Monday, Ben led us to pray the Lord's Prayer, and he specifically said, this is the prayer that we're using. We're saying debts, because it was the budget council. So that's what we did. Having the prayer in common where we all know it is really helpful, you know. That's why when Garth Brooks leads the nation to sing Amazing Grace, it really works because a lot of us know Amazing Grace. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. We're trying to come to that commonality and that common experience, which can happen with out loud prayer that we say together. And the Lord's Prayer is a good way to do that. Now, back to the Lord's Prayer, there's been quite a debate about how the Lord's Prayer is working with debt and trespasses, in England especially. Debt implies things that you owe, things that are beyond your capacity to pay. It even connects us to the future to some extent. In my opinion, it has a bigger and bolder meaning. Trespasses is about breaking the rule, violation of the law. Presbyterians, Baptists, and other Reformed types are on the debts side. I like the debt side too. But Catholics, Anglicans, Methodists, they're on the trespass side. I think they're both good. So I like being influenced by both streams, and we can use both of them. This week in our cells, here's what I want us to do. I'm going to tell the cell leaders, here's the Lord's Prayer that I want you to read together out loud on Zoom even, and we'll do it together as our prayer to our Father, as Jesus said. So I'll offer the cell leaders a version to use so there's no confusion, and you can give it a shot that way too. Once again, you really can't do it wrong. You're working it out. It takes practice and time, and that's good. I think that's enough for now. We'll have a chance to try some of these prayers even later in this meeting. But let's keep praying this week, out loud. 4 ways that I offered that you can do that. Recite a portion of the psalm out loud throughout your day. Pray in front of others. Pray out loud with others at the same time. Or pray out loud the same prayer. So go, speak forth your prayer, get it out of your body and in front of you, around in the community. Thanks.
My soul finds rest in you, my shelter in winter. I rest in you. We lift our voices. We lift our hearts, bring us to Jesus. Your love shines through the darkness, surrounds me. I rest in you. No fear shall consume me. I rest in you. We lift our voices. We lift our hearts. Bring us to Jesus. Your love shines through. Oh Lord, my soul finds rest in you. My shelter in winter. I rest in you. We lift our voices. We lift No fear shall consume me. I'll rest in you. We lift our voices. We lift our hearts. Bring us to Jesus. Your love shines through. We lift our voices. We lift our hearts. Bring us to Jesus. Your love shines through.
So we are entering into a time to pray together. Participate in as much as you are able, using your voice. Lord, it has been almost a year since we have all been able to pray in a physical meeting within our congregational spaces as a community of kingdom builders and Jesus followers. We mourn this. We long for this again. Fragments we sometimes piece together of us all shoulder to shoulder, lifting hands, swaying, holding each other, connecting eye to eye with someone in the room. A hint of a smile, encouragement from those around you, in just simply doing as you call us to. Lift our voices and our hearts, continue turning us toward you. In the faces and in the praise of those around us, we are reminded of your deep love among us. Sometimes those memories fade. It is winter, and we are tired of isolation. Our thoughts are sometimes scattered and spiraling. Help us, Lord. Break us from the prisons at times within our minds, and creatively bring us back to a different way to pray. Remind us that our voices, speaking out loud, are not alone and echoing into nothingness. Remind us here and now that our voices carry your message, and that every breath and utterance is a gesture to you, Holy One, and your beloved. We're also reminding ourselves that these utterances don't have to be perfect. Most of us sound a little more raw these days and unrehearsed. We know we need you and each other. Now, if you're not in the presence of someone, imagine someone is seated with you, right there in prayer. Or if you are with someone in your living space, try to pray out loud together. Lord, provide this space for us to bear witness together. Love each other through this invitation to pray, to speak out loud into existence what is on our hearts. May you feel heard and received by others praying as we weather this cold and sometimes distant feeling season. Enter in this space provided now.
finds rest in you.
We will get our thirst met by love, even when hate tries to drown us out. We will move freely with open arms, even when scarcity tempts our hearts. Nothing can defeat the power of the self-giving body of God. Greed can rage, death can take, but the body of God survives. Fear can reign, the powers oppress, but the body of God rises. We do rise too. We do rise too. We do rise too. From death we rise too. We will lift our voices loud with hope, even when the powers threaten war. We will call for justice in the streets, even when fear tries to shut us in. Nothing can defeat the power of the self-giving body of God. Greed can rage, death can take, but the body of God survives. Fear can reign, the powers oppress, but the body of God rises. We do rise too. 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 From death we rise too. May all hands carry your love, your love, your love, your love. May all hands carry your love, your love, your love, your love. Your love's the only thing that will sustain. Your love's the only thing that will remain. May all hands carry your love, your love, your love, your love. May all tongues declare your love, your love, your love, your love. Your love's the only thing that will sustain. Your love's the only thing only thing that will sustain. Your love's the only thing that will remain. May all minds know your love, your love, your love, your love. May our hearts beat with your love, your love, your love, your love. Your love's the only thing that will sustain. Your love's the only thing that will remain. Your love's the only thing that will sustain. Your love's the only thing that will remain.
Just a few more minutes. I hope you stay with us for a benediction here. I want to invite you to share in our common fund. We are able to put some of our resources together to keep meetings like this going, and our whole ongoing mission together, and also to invite new partners to join in Jesus's mission with us. So if you can share your resources, go to circleofhope.net/sharing and partner with us in this really practical way that helps us keep going and helps us to expand. And I also want to invite you to like this video on YouTube. We have a channel on YouTube. You're probably on it right now. And we're trying to use it to get the word out about who Jesus is and who we are together and what God is doing in the world. And so we try to put good things on that channel throughout the week, like music videos that our teams make, messages that the pastors and other leaders share, and the channel keeps on growing, but we need help sharing it. So if you like and subscribe and share these around, it will expand this work that God is doing. Ben's going to tell us more.
Yes, I am. Another thing you can do online is go to circleofhope.net/cells and learn about cells, or just put in the chat right now, I want to be connected to a cell. Somebody connect me. I saw that Jasper was talking about connecting maybe to Eden Cell. I don't know. That was happening in the chat. Also, when you sign in at circleofhope.net/online meeting, if it's your first time here or you haven't connected to a cell in a while and you want to sign in and say, connect me to a cell leader, you can click that box and someone will reach out directly to you. Cells are the best place for pandemic church. They're the best place for church ever. We started with cells back in 1996, but we're so glad that we have them now because we're able to stay connected, and we really are making new partners and holding on. Slightly better than barely hanging on is pretty good. And we hold on maybe quite a bit better than slightly better, although I don't know how it feels for you. But the cell is the best place to, feel it. So get connected to a cell or reconnect to a cell if you're not connected with one now. Another way to connect after this is you might want to connect face-to-face, see some people that were on this YouTube live experience afterwards on Zoom. Our hosts are putting a link where you can click on it right after the meeting and connect. Julie will be leading us in some informal conversation. It's not like a class or anything. It's just like, what's going on? And lastly, tomorrow night, I am hosting an About Circle of Hope meeting. It's kind of like a Q&A session for anyone that wants to connect with a pastor about, like, what are you all about? What's your mission about? What's your vision about? I collected a few people that are interested in doing it, and I'm just kind of opening it up to whoever. And if you wanted to connect to that, even if you're not living in South Jersey, you can by emailing me at ben@circleofhope.net. That's BEN @circleofhope.net. I'd love to have you, but I'm only going to share the link if you tell me you want to come. So that's all I've got. Bless us out.
Thanks, Ben. I want to close us with a commission to connect this week. Helplessness and isolation are the core experiences of psychological trauma, and people are experiencing both right now for prolonged periods of time. So a sense of belonging and care can help to recreate what isolation will destroy. Faith, hope, courage, connection with others will help us to sustain. So your connection here in this meeting, in your cell throughout the week, with God in prayer as you practice praying out loud, all of that will be enough to bless someone else. The Spirit of God works that way. We started tonight with the Apostle Paul in 2 Corinthians when he wrote to the church. So I want to send us off with just a bit more. He writes in chapter 1, "Praise be to God, to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves have received from God." So hold on to that comfort this week. Reach out to someone else to connect. Your hands carry the love of Christ. Go in peace or stick around afterwards for the Zoom call. See you next week.
Crea en mí, oh Dios, un corazón puro. Crea en mí, oh Dios, un corazón